Okay, students, we're going to go over the practice test. This is all the work that I expect to see from you on the test. Again, no work, no credit. So even if you can do it in your head, it's number one, it's not very hard. You cannot just write down the answer, you get no credit. Made that clear. Most of you have no problem showing work. All right, so how do we solve all equations? Reverse PEMDAS every single time. So we add a factor across first. So there's the -1. It gives me x over -3 equals 7. Multiply both sides by the reciprocal. The reciprocal of -1/3 is -3. If you want to write -3 over 1, you can. You don't have to. And 7 times -3, whatever you do to one side, you do the other side. Whatever 7 times -3 is -21. Number 2, again, reverse PEMDAS. Now notice what I did here. I looked at the coefficient of the x and saw it was negative, so I brought it over to the positive side, so I don't have to deal with negatives. So I have 3/4 x, and therefore I have to move the constant across. 7 plus 5 is 12. 3/4 x equals 12. I multiply by the reciprocal of 4/3. Whatever you do to one side, you do the other side. The 3 cancels with the 12 4 times, and 4 times 4 is 16. Number 3. We're already at the division level, because remember this is like a parentheses right there. So you multiply both sides by -8, and you get -64 equals x minus 6. Last step, add the 6 across. -64 plus 6 is -58. Number 4, I look at my coefficients on my variables here and here. The variables, so the -3 is the smaller of the two, so bring the smaller over the bigger side, so you end up with a positive, so that gives me 3 2/9 x equals that 1/3, or 3/9 reduces to 1/3, and then subtract it across gives you -1/3. Then I change the 3 mixed number of 3 2/9 to an improper fraction, so 9 times 3 is 27 plus 2 is 29/9 x equals -1/3. And then, of course, I multiply by the reciprocal, 9 over 29. The 3 cancels with 9 3 times. I get -3 over 29. Number 5, I have distributive property first. So I'm distributing this -7 through there. And I'm distributing the 8 through there. So I have 3x minus 7x minus 35 equals 64x minus 48. Combine like terms, that means on the same side of the equal sign, that gives me -4x minus 35 equals 64x minus 48. I look at where the smaller coefficient is, that's -4, so I'm adding that across to make it 68x, which means the constant is going to the other side, adding 48 across. 48 minus 35 is 13 equals 68x. And then the last step is divided by 68. If that reduced, I would reduce, but it does not. So I just leave it as 13 over 68. Number 6, 3 more than a number x is x plus 3. And then it says is means equals. That's why you have an equal sign. 8 less than 4 times the number y. So I have 4y minus 8. And then it says solve for y. So I add reverse PEMDAS, add the 8 across. Combine like terms, so I get x plus 11, that's an 11 there, equals 4y, and the last step is to divide by 4 on both sides. You make sure you have a long horizontal bar. Or if you want to write it as individual fractions, it would be that right there if you're going to do it on each term. I'll take either answer. All right, number 7, what percent, that's the x of means times, so there's your times symbol. 45 is means equals 70. Divide by 45 on both sides, you get 1.5 repeating bar. Okay, now I need to change that to a percent, so it's 2 places to the right, 155.5 repeating bar percent. That would be the exact answer. Then I go back and read the question, and it says nearest tenth, so that makes it 155.6, rounded to nearest tenth. Number 8, 30 equals, because is means equals, what percent x of times 45? So you get x 45 there, divided by 45 on both sides, and I get 2/3. That is 0.6 repeating bar. change it to a percent, that would be 66.6 repeating bar percent. That would be the exact answer. Put it, go back and read it. It says nearest tenth, so it's 66.7%. Always go back and read how they want you to round it too. Number 9, assume that y varies directly as x directly tells you the x is going to be in the numerator, so y equals kx. Remember, k is always in the numerator. And the word that would put the x in the denominator would be inversely if you have that one. This one's directly, so x is the numerator. If y equals -2, I substitute that in there. When x equals 8, substitute that in there. Then I solve for k and I get -1/4. So I take that -1/4 and plug it back in for the k, and there's that equation. Now it says find y when x equals -10. So I just substitute -10 in for the x right there. Negative times negative is positive. 10 divided by 4 is 2.5. Or you could leave it as 5/2 if you want to leave it as a fraction. All right, number 10, find the angle measured to nearest degree. So I was telling you what to round to. Tangent A, how do I get rid of tangent? Inverse tangent. Whatever I do to one side, I do to the other side. Inverse tangent. That's why it's written right there. Inverse tangent 2.2 is approximately 66 degrees. Now you need to remember on your graphing calculator that you need to change the mode to degrees. Change mode to degrees. Then you do the inverse tangent of 2.2. Okay. Number 11, sine, cosine, and tangent of angle N, and they tell you what to fill in the numbers 3, 4, and 5 right here. That's a 3, 4, 5 Pythagorean triple. You should know that already. Okay, so we want the sine, cosine, and tangent of N. So here's angle N. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Remember SOHCAHTOA? Okay, so sine's opposite over hypotenuse, 4/5. Cosine adjacent over hypotenuse, 3/5, and tangent opposite over adjacent, 4/3. Those are exact answers, but then I read the directions and what's the nearest thousandth, so I need to put 4/5, which is 0.8, and put 2 zeros after it because it wants the nearest thousandth. Okay, so don't forget that. If you lose 4/5, 3/5, and 4/3, you'd lose a point. All right, find the measure of angle P. So they give you the lengths here. I fill in the side lengths. That's another Pythagorean triple, 7, 24, 25. Angle P is right here. I can choose any one of the sine, cosine, or tangent. I just chose tangent. Tangent is opposite over adjacent, so that's 7/24. How do I get rid of tangent? Inverse tangent. Okay, my calculator should be in degrees already. So I type in inverse tangent of 7/24. That's a 4 there. And I get 16.3 degrees. On your test, it will say to the nearest tenth. On your on your test, nearest tenth. I forgot to put that in here. Okay, but I added it for your test. Nearest tenth. All right, that goes ahead and explains. Your test will look just like this with different numbers.